All right, get ready for a deep dive. We're going to be talking about poetry slams today.
Oh, poetry slams, those are intense.
Definitely, it's like a battlefield of words. And to guide us through this verbal warfare, we're using this fascinating article. It's called "The Day a Poet Brought a Bear to University."
Wait, a bear?
Oh yeah, it sounds crazy, right? Lord Byron, the famous poet, actually brought a bear to Cambridge University. Can you imagine?
I mean, talk about an entrance. That's one way to command attention.
And that's exactly what our article dives into, that whole idea of commanding attention and handling hecklers, which, let's face it, is crucial in the world of slam poetry.
Absolutely, because a poetry slam is not for the faint of heart. It's a battle of wits and words.
Right. You got to be prepared to fight for your words to be heard. But let's back up a bit for those who might not be familiar with the whole poetry slam scene.
So imagine a packed room, people buzzing with anticipation, and poets taking the stage one by one. They're armed with nothing but their words and their wits.
It's a competition, a battle of words and emotions, where the audience judges every line, every pause.
And those pauses, they can be as powerful as the words themselves. The article talks about lines as bullets and pauses as traps.
That's intense.
It is. It's about knowing when to strike with your words and when to let the silence hang in the air.
And then there's the hecklers, those audience members who just can't resist trying to steal the spotlight.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pouring your heart out on stage and someone decides to yawn right in your face.
It's brutal, but the article offers some pretty savage comebacks to deal with those situations.
Oh yeah, like if someone starts yawning during your emotional ballad about lost love.
The article suggests hitting back with something like, "Oh, I see we have a professional deep sleeper. Did you think the show started after midnight?"
I love that. It's using humor to disarm the heckler while maintaining control.
Exactly. You acknowledge their disruption, but redirect it with a witty remark, keeping the audience on your side.
It's like mental judo.
Exactly. And the article provides a whole arsenal of comebacks for all sorts of scenarios, dealing with obnoxious laughter, forgetting your lines, you name it.
And it's not just about being funny, it's about asserting your dominance on stage.
Exactly. It's about reminding the heckler and the audience who's is in control.
So we have Byron, the bear, the battlefield, and some killer comebacks. But what about the actual craft of writing slam poetry? I mean, where do you even begin?
Well, the article mentions this book, Poetry Master, that supposedly has all the secrets.
Okay, Poetry Master. So it claims to have all the tools to help you dominate the stage, like become the Lord Byron of slam poetry.
Something like that. It covers everything from crafting killer opening lines to developing a stage presence that could melt a glacier.
Sounds intense. So what's the first step? Does it start with, like, writing those attention-grabbing opening lines?
Absolutely. The source emphasizes the importance of a strong opening, comparing it to Byron's grand entrance with the bear.
Right, because that bear was definitely an attention getter.
Exactly. It's about making a statement, setting the tone, and creating anticipation for what's to come.
So basically, your opening line is like your own personal bear moment.
Precisely. It's about capturing their attention from the first word and setting the stage for a memorable performance.
And it seems like Poetry Master doesn't just focus on those flashy openings. It also dives into the nitty-gritty of staying focused on stage, even when the pressure is on.
Absolutely. The source highlights the importance of mental clarity, especially in a high-stakes environment like a poetry slam.
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in the moment, the nerves, the energy of the crowd.
It is. But Poetry Master seems to provide techniques for maintaining that focus, that presence of mind, even when the butterflies are going crazy.
Okay, so Poetry Master covers the mental game, the opening lines. What else?
Well, the source suggests that Poetry Master really digs into developing a strong voice, a unique style that sets you apart from other poets.
So it's not just about learning how to write poems, it's about finding your own voice, your own way of expressing yourself.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that authentic self and letting it shine through your work.
And that authenticity, that's what really connects with an audience.
It does.
Yeah.
Because people can tell when someone is being genuine, when they're speaking from the heart, and that's what makes a performance truly memorable.
Okay, so Poetry Master seems to be all about helping you tap into that authentic self, that raw energy, and that fearless spirit.
Exactly. And that fearlessness, that willingness to put yourself out there, that's something that both Byron and slam poetry have in common.
So it's not just about the words on the page, it's about the energy you bring to the stage.
Absolutely. It's about owning the stage, captivating the audience, and making them feel something. It is. It's about owning the stage, captivating the audience, and making them feel something.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? I mean, it's one thing to talk about authenticity and energy, but how do you translate that onto the stage, into your performance? Does Poetry Master offer any concrete tips?
It does. The book seems to break down the performance aspect of slam poetry into specific techniques. It's like learning a new language, the language of the stage.
So it's not just about the words, it's about how you use your body, your voice, your presence to deliver those words.
Exactly. The source emphasizes the importance of stage presence, using your physicality to amplify your words.
Okay, so like specific movements, gestures.
Yeah, and posture, eye contact, even how you breathe, it all plays a part.
Wow, so it's almost like becoming an actor.
In a way, yes, you're embodying the emotions of your poem.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be real for a second. What about stage fright? I mean, standing up there in front of all those people judging your every word, that's got to be nerve-wracking.
Oh, absolutely. Stage fright is a real thing, and Poetry Master doesn't shy away from it.
So does it offer any tips for dealing with those pre-performance jitters?
It does. There are techniques for calming those nerves, for channeling that nervous energy into something positive.
Like,
Well, there are breathing exercises, visualization techniques, and even some advice on how to reframe those negative thoughts into something more empowering.
so it's about turning that fear into fuel.
Exactly, using it to make your performance even more powerful.
Okay, so let's say you've managed to tame the stage fright. You're up there feeling good, and then a heckler.
Yes, the heckler, the
Yeah.
wild card of any live performance.
Exactly. Someone who decides to shout out something disruptive or try to throw you off your game. How do you handle that? Because I would probably just freeze.
Well, freezing is a natural reaction, but Poetry Master emphasizes the importance of staying calm and in control.
Easier said than done, right? But how do you actually do that? Does the book have any specific advice?
It does. It offers techniques for addressing hecklers directly in a way that maintains your authority on stage.
So it's about, like, witty comebacks, shutting them down.
Not necessarily. It's more about using your words and your presence to reassert control of the situation.
So it's about not letting the heckler derail your performance.
Exactly. It's about showing the audience who's in charge.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But isn't there a risk of, like, escalating the situation?
There is, and Poetry Master cautions against engaging in a back and forth with the heckler.
Right, because that's just giving them what they want, attention.
Exactly. The goal is to shut it down quickly and gracefully so you can get back to your poem.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about stage fright, hecklers, but what about the overall energy of the performance? Because slam poetry, it's so raw, so emotional. How do you tap into that and convey it to the audience?
That's where vulnerability comes in. Poetry Master really emphasizes the importance of being vulnerable on stage.
Vulnerable. But isn't that kind of scary, putting yourself out there like that?
It can be, but it's also incredibly powerful.
Okay, but how do you even begin to be vulnerable on stage? Does the book give you specific exercises or something?
It does. There are techniques for tapping into your emotions, for finding the courage to share your truth with the audience.
So it's about, like, digging deep, finding those raw, honest emotions.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the need to be perfect and allowing yourself to be seen, flaws and all.
That's pretty intense.
It is, but it's also what makes slam poetry so captivating.
Right. It's that realness, that honesty, that connection with the audience.
Exactly. And that connection, that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Okay, so we've talked about vulnerability, stage fright, handling hecklers, all these different elements of performing slam poetry. But what about the actual content of the poems themselves? Does Poetry Master offer any guidance on what to write about, how to structure your poems?
It does. The book emphasizes that slam poetry can be about anything, that there are no limits to what you can explore or express.
So it's about finding what matters to you, what you're passionate about.
Exactly. The book suggests that Poetry Master encourages you to write about what moves you, what makes you angry, what makes you laugh, what keeps you up at night.
So it's about using your poetry to explore those big questions, those personal experiences, those things that make you, you.
Exactly. It's about using your voice to speak your truth and to connect with others who might be feeling the same things.
Okay, but how do you actually translate those thoughts and feelings into a poem? I mean, it's one thing to have a strong emotion, but how do you craft it into something that's both powerful and poetic?
Well, Poetry Master delves into the craft of writing, providing techniques for crafting powerful imagery, using metaphor and simile, and building a narrative that captures the audience's attention.
So it's about using language in a creative way to express those emotions.
Exactly. It's about finding the right words, the right rhythm, the right imagery to create a poem that resonates with both the head and the heart.
So it's not just about expressing your emotions raw, it's about shaping them, crafting them into a work of art.
Exactly. It's about taking those raw emotions and turning them into something beautiful, something meaningful, something that can move people.
And Poetry Master seems to offer the tools and guidance to do just that. It's about giving you the confidence and the skills to transform your experiences, your emotions, into powerful slam poetry.
It's about empowering you to find your voice, to hone your craft, and to share your story with the world.
Okay, so we've talked about finding your voice, being vulnerable, handling hecklers, all these different aspects of performing slam poetry. But let's bring it back to Poetry Master. Does it actually deliver on its promise to help you dominate the stage?
It does. It gives you those tools and it helps you hone your craft so you can really connect with the audience because it's not just about you on stage.
Right. It's about creating that connection with the audience, making them feel something. So does Poetry Master give specific techniques for like building that rapport with the audience?
It does. Poetry Master talks about using eye contact, your voice, even the pauses in your poem to draw the audience in.
So it's about being present in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
really connecting with those people out there.
Exactly. It's about making them feel like they're part of the experience.
Okay, so you're up on stage, you've got your killer poem, you're connecting with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But slam poetry, it's not just about pretty words, is it?
No, it's not. It's about something deeper. It's about using your words to make a statement, to challenge norms, to spark a conversation.
Right. It's about making people think, making them feel something that might make them uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's about pushing boundaries, challenging the status quo.
And Poetry Master seems to really encourage that fearless approach to slam poetry.
It does. It's about using your voice, your words as a weapon against apathy, against injustice.
So it's not just about self-expression. It's about using slam poetry as a tool for social change.
Absolutely. It's about raising awareness, inspiring action, making a difference in the world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today.
Yeah.
We talked about Lord Byron, that crazy story about the bear. We delved into the techniques and advice offered in Poetry Master. And I gotta say, I'm feeling inspired.
Me too. Slam poetry, it's such a powerful art form, a way to connect, to challenge, to create change.
And Poetry Master gives you those tools to unlock your inner slam poet, to unleash those words onto the world.
It's about finding your voice, honing your craft, and having the courage to share your story.
So if you're ready to step onto that stage, to let your words ignite the world, to channel your inner Lord Byron, minus the bear, of course,
Well, then Poetry Master Posycraft in 7 Tagadin is definitely worth checking out.
it's your guide to mastering the art of slam poetry, finding your voice, and making those words matter. So stay creative, everyone.
Stay creative.